Doo, 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 doo. Hey, good morning. It is Monday. Monday early. And this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. Well, my chin's always red right there. Anyway, it's kind of, It's Monday. And I'm all chipper. And it's 5:49 a.m. in the morning. And this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. And here we talk about Agile and Scrum in a tactical and practical way. So you get home to your family and friends, which you're already there. So we have to change that part up again. But how do you deal with that? And then bring more value to your customer, and also not work too long and work crazy hours to get what we need to get done. The idea is getting home and having a little fun along the way. And today, I'm going to change it up a little bit because it's not just about the tactical and practical of how to do Agile and how to implement Agile or Scrum in that way. It's also about can you use that to help your business and life in general. So a little bit of both. I jump around a little bit, some leadership stuff and things like that. But today I thought of something because somebody triggered something on the other day. And I commented about this working home, and you see all this stuff about the rivers cleaning up and the pollution going down. The birds are out and the animals are coming around because the humans aren't there, right? You see it all the time. And I just want to put a disclaimer here. I'm a very conservative guy, okay? But I am a very environmentalist type person. I love the environment. I've been in the environment. I've been playing in the woods and the creeks and lakes since I was 3. I don't know. My mom used to yell at me because I'd play in a creek all day. She said, "Get your tail up here for dinner." And I come home a mess and just get hosed off by my parents, my mom, until I learned how to hose myself off from being in the creek and in the mud and all that kind of stuff. So be there. So a little talk about me. But I want to talk about 2 things today. And this is episode 252. I want to talk about reducing your commute to work and how we can leverage this virus issue, the coronavirus, for a longer term gain for everybody in the organization and around the world. So I might actually put an ad about this once we put this out there. And then, and part of it will be sprint planning day. And I'm gonna save that, but I want to talk about sprint planning day. And I have an idea, right? As they say, always take an opportunity. Can you change the paradigm from which you work in? And today I want to change paradigms. I had a debate, so let's go into it. So I had a debate last night. Well, not a debate. It was like a 2-question comment. I commented how with this work from home activity that we can save in the commuting pollution. And the guy's like, "Oh, it's only 5%. So my logic was, if it's only 50, or he said it was only 15%. If it was only 15%, why does all Europe want to go to electric car? And why does everybody want everybody to have electric car? And why do they want you to try trains and stay at home and this and that and the other thing?" I says, there's more to it than that. And why does LA, why does San Francisco, I lived in the Bay Area. Why do you have smog alerts, right? It's not because the factories are making any more pollution. It's because of the cars, right? I love my car, and trust me, I like my gas-powered car. I got a 1976 Corvette, which I haven't been a ride in years because of my little ones, but I love that car. It's a beautiful car, my dream car. So I am for gas, and I'm also for electric. I balance both, what makes sense. So here's what happened. Guy's saying that, and then it made me think about, and I just want to share this story with you. How do you think out of the box? How do you think differently on proposal issues? Back in the 90s, before this whole tech thing came, we were still writing letters back in the 90s when I was working, right? It wasn't, we had some email, but a lot of it was letters. I had to write formal letters, get it signed and approved and written by my boss and put in the mail and send it to wherever I had to go. And there was a big thing about reducing commute because I work for the Navy Department. Of course, the government wants to do stuff, right? But we also had this reduced work week where we did, and I got my little globe. I put that up on the intro, right? So just like a lot more today, and I like the 40-hour work week. Trust me, always do. So we had 8 hours a day. Whoops. So when I was there in the 90s, we had 8 hours a day. One day. And you work 5 days a week, right? 10 days, 10 days in a work week. What they wanted to do they wanted to do what was it? A bunch of nines, right? So that's 40 hours, right? They wanted to do 9-hour days and have one day off, right? So what they did, they wanted to, and it was called a compressed work week. And we have that a lot. Some places have it. Some places lost it, but they have a 9-hour day back then. How many days was it? Was it 9 hours, right? Yeah, because this would be an 8. So 2 weeks would be 80 hours and 9-hour days, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 9 times 9 is 81, right? Still too big. 9 times 8 is what they had. They had 9 8-hour days, right? So it was 9 times 8, and they had 1 8-hour days, I think. So it was 8 times 8, which gave you 64, I believe, or 72. 9 times 8 is 72. Actually, let's say it was 9. I can't talk. It's terrible. They had 9 days times 9 hours. My math is bad. You know what I should do before I do these shows? I got to do the calculator thing because at 5:30 in the morning, brain doesn't work sometimes. 9 times 9. 9 times 8. What am I doing? 9 times 9 is 72. So it wouldn't work, right? No. 9 times 9 is 81, which is more than 80 hours a work week, right? So wasn't that? I think it was 80. So 9 times 8, right? That's 72. So 8 days. See, that's what it is. 9 hours times 8 days, which gave you 72 hours, right? And then the 9th day was an 8-hour day. Was an 8-hour day on the 9th. So what they did in the compressed work week, my brain is really bad. I really like this idea though. So I had this debate. They were going to get rid of this because they didn't think it was effective, right? So they didn't think this was effective. And I put a proposal up for my Navy base on why it is effective and why it was a good thing. Not a lot of people know about that base, but I kind of helped keep the 9-hour workday viable for the longest time. And to this day, they're still doing it. Some 30 years later. That was me. Here's what I did. So what they did is they did 9-hour days times 8 days, which gave them 72 hours, right? Still not 80. And on the 9th day, they did 1 8-hour day. So that gave them 80 hours. So in their mind, well, they were still saying, yeah, but I don't get everybody working. So, well, what you don't have everybody take off the same day, because back then we didn't have the internet, right? It wasn't there. So this gave us coverage, the same amount of work hours put in. What I drew, and this is a really bad global map. Yes, it is supposed to be the planet Earth. I drew a planet Earth. So let's go through this real quick for the people on the podcast. So you have 8 hours equal a day. We had 10 days. So that gave us 80 hours in a 2-week period. Hey, a sprint. Woo! Speak of that, sprint. So it gave us 80 hours, right? In the new one, we wanted to do 8 9-hour days. Where my eraser is. Gone somewhere. And I don't want to use that. So we had that many 8-hour days. So we had 8 9-hour days. 8 times 9 hours times 8 days gave us 72 hours. And then we had 1 8-hour day on the 9th day. So that gave us a total of 80 hours. So the time works. So here's what my proposal was that I promoted to the heads of the organization. We were in the Navy department, right? So we have ships all around the world, right? So our job was to supply and maintain. That's why I know about Navy supply. That's why I made that comment. Maintain and make sure all the ships are taken care of anywhere in the world. Well, By doing this 9-hour day thing, it increased our coverage. All but there was like one little sliver because I went on the map and I said, well, now we have full coverage of support for our Navy people all around the world without having to work weird shifts or overtime and things like that. So I drew this map where we had this coverage all around the world. So that was point one. Point two, besides the coverage, that's a business thing. From a business model, that made sense because we didn't have Navy Department we can't hire people from India to support the United States Navy. We can't hire people from China to support the United States Navy. It ain't gonna work, right? So my one point was coverage, planet coverage. So that was one of the points I made. The other point, and I know, wow, we're already at 10:50, so I'll make the other point. The other point was commute. Back then, there was a real push for the government and government operations to reduce pollution because it was really getting bad. And I don't know, they just wanted to do it. Here's what I figured. We have 9 days we're in office one day. So there's 10 days, right? If I reduce the commute by 1 day, minus 1 day, right? So you know what I just did without changing anything and meeting the criteria? That is a 10% reduction in pollution. See that? So I have a 10 days a week, 5 days. Take 1 day where we were off that day, gave us a 10% reduction in pollution. Think about that, right? So without changing anything, but rethinking how we did it, the work still got as much people got done. I helped them propose a 10% reduction in commuting traffic and pollution for the base because everybody would be home for at least 1 day a week. So that would reduce the pollution. So I had two things. By rethinking the paradigm, not staying the normal, and this is where agile thinking, this is where creative thinking comes along. I had proposed two things. One gave us worldwide coverage, except for one little sliver in some part of the Indian Ocean, which we had, but we had one little sliver. And there was also a 10-hour work week. So everything was covered. And I helped them reduce the commuting pollution by 10%. So I gave them those proposals why they should keep the 9-hour work days and 1 day off. They call it the alternate work schedule in place because it helped them reduce and meet the requirements without investing any more money. That is the classic lean model. Get more out of what you're doing. So I was getting them more value out of doing the same job. Cool. So where does that go from here? This is what I want to propose. And I really don't want to erase my thing. Let me take a picture. I'm going to take a picture of my little map, even though it's like cryptic and you can't see it. But it's good to put stuff like this. Here, Bubbles, hold this. Can you watch that for me, Bubbles? Okay, Bubbles is here. Because as we all know, she eats and then she hangs out all day next to me because she's all comfy cozy and she just wants to cuddle because she's a little cuddle cat. And hold on, I have napkins. I have a secret stash. Don't tell anybody I have a secret stash of napkins in my office. So now I can erase that. So again, real quick, we worked 8 hours a day, 80 hours total. We went down to 9-hour days, gave us 72 hours, and 1 day was an 8-hour day, and that gave us 1 day to take off. It was an alternate work schedule. That gave us more planet coverage across the world, except for one little sliver on the globe. And I reduced the 10-day by 1 day, which is the 10% savings on pollution. And if you can't tell me I wasn't thinking agile and lean back when I was in my 20s, nah, you can't. See, I was doing this, man. So here's my proposal. And we're at 14:47, so we're kind of late. But it's Monday and I'm off and I don't know what I'm doing. So we're crazy. Here's what I would like to propose, a learning experience. And I really should cut it off, but I want to do this. I'm going to make it fast because I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it up as an ad somewhere because I think it's a good idea and I think we should take advantage of it. Okay, so we have the virus, right? Everybody's working from home. So we got working from home. WFH, right? So everybody's working from home. Everybody's practicing this, how it goes. I had a thought. How does it apply to Scrum and Agile? And I really love Scrum, and there's a reason why. I was thinking about it. How do you work it? And the debate online was like, better to have face-to-face. Totally agree. Anywhere you can have face-to-face is much more optimal or more productive. But how about this? Sprint planning day. We have Scrum. I call it sprint planning day. We have sprint planning day. Sprint planning day. That's 1 out of the 5 days, right? So, I mean, 1 out of the 10 days. So if you do a 10-day sprint, 1 day is sprint planning. So out of a 2-week sprint, 1 day is that. So that's 10 days. How about this for an environmental friendly way of doing this? The logic I use for the alternate work schedule so that people can take an extra day off. And we like to have people working together and, this whole way. I've been in some places that there's 10 days a week. Some places have the alternate work schedule. So what I did over there, take that, provide that to your group to keep it going. More power to you. Maybe we'll talk more about that later. But how about that sprint planning day working from home? Think about it. Here's my proposal. We're going to learn all this stuff when working at home with the virus, right? We're going to learn all this stuff. It's good stuff. Sprint planning day. I never tell my teams, I don't want you coding. I really don't want you testing. I just want you to plan out the week and really understand the tasks for the stories, right? So what I really want people to do is really take time deliberating what tasks to work for the stories, what needs to be done in the stories. You're not coding, you're not really getting back and forth high performance with bugs and fixing things and working together coding. You're just talking about what tasks. I think sprint planning day is the perfect day to work from home. Think about it. A lot of times product owners aren't local and there. A lot of times product owners are around the world because they with the product. So there you go. Product owners aren't there. You make a list and you prioritize this list and you look at the first part of sprint planning as you identify the stories that you're going to work. I don't see why you have to be co-located to do that. We have enough systems. We have enough things to vote. We can change it. We can talk about it. You're just talking about user story. You're not really doing any code. You're not doing any parallel programming. You can do PowerPoints or whatever. You can show this stuff. We have it virtual. So I'm not sure whether or not you need to be in the office for that. So that's the first part. The second part is tasking it out for the technical people get together and test. Now, I've been in groups where the technical people would go off. They would assign each other stories, not to work, but just to task out. They would go off and task out those stories. And they would just talk about it. When they're done, they'd come back together later in the day and talk about stories. Because I like sprint planning day to be the entire day, to be honest with you. It comes out to be about right. You could do some stuff. But why not work from home for sprint planning day? Why not get us, where's my green pen? For the environment. Go environment. If we did this, you get a 10% reduction in pollution. I just saved 10%. I think that's pretty cool. And you get the same output and you get the same work done. I think, save environment. I think you get what you want. I think the rest of the other 9 days out of the week, you work in the office. That's what I want to propose. So I want to propose this 10%. Maybe I'll do a purple here. 10% reduction in pollution. Right? Pollution. Let me know what you think. Let's take advantage of this activity to practice sprint planning from home. Working from home on sprint planning day. Take this opportunity to get some practice in to save the environment at least 10% in commuting pollution. Save your gas, save your time. You know, like I said, you get an extra hour and a half because I'm not commuting. But most of the days, we're in the office for 9 out of the 10 days. And on that 10th day, which is sprint planning day, if you're doing Scrum every 2 weeks, you work from home. How about that? And I know this went long, and it's 21 minutes long, but I wanted to bring that up. I think I got to refine that, but we'll see. But take that. So how does changing your commute and a little proposal? But the thing is, think about how we can get more lean and get more benefits out of this experience of learning from working from home. Something to think about while we're doing this in this exercise. How do we gain? How do we learn? How do we transform our business model? How do we grow as an organization, make more happy people? With that, do you want to say goodbye to everybody, Ed?
Bye.
Say bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye. Happy Scrumming.